Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello, Unbreakable Mompreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, your host, and today I'm here with Dr. Cynthia Rapaido. And I love education, and I love, as you know, I'm a teacher, or I used to be a teacher, and I used to want to be a high school counselor. And so Dr. Rapaido she used to be a high school principal, so she does everything. And she'll be able to talk to us about a book that she just had published, but also what she does today in terms of coaching principals and teachers and other people. So without further ado, why don't you introduce yourself to us a little more?
Thanks, Charisse. So Cynthia Rapaido, you can just call me Cynthia.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you're right. Was a high school teacher. I did biology, chemistry, and did that for 9 years. Then I went into administration, was assistant principal for 17 years, and then went into principalship for 5 years, then retired after 30 plus years in public education. Since then, I've been working with new teachers or student teachers going into the profession and administrators that are going into the profession as well. And I coach them, help them clear their credential. And then some of them already have positions, and I'm continuing to coach them, mentor them, depending on which group I'm involved in. As well as I finished writing a book that just came out in July called Step Up Your School Leadership Game.
Congratulations, because it's not easy to write a book.
Thank you. You too. Congratulations.
So I have to ask, because I was thinking, I stopped teaching college. I became the principal as well, or the director, or the president, whatever, depending on the college. But I think back, and how much has it changed from 35 years ago when you started till when you retired in terms of students and attitudes and parenting? How has that changed? Or has it?
It hasn't really changed a whole lot. I mean, the lingo changes. I mean, they talk, with certain colloquial words, but in terms of kids are kids, I think nowadays they can be a little bit more vocal.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in general, I think the kids are kids, and it's just a matter of working with them and championing them, because everybody comes from different backgrounds,
Mm-hmm.
and just being sensitive to where they're coming from, and not just always having that same expectation of this is the structure of a classroom and this is what my rules. I mean, yes, you have to have rules in place and expectations, but at the same time, the kids are still coming from different areas.
Right.
Yeah.
So as a parent who just last year, the first 4 of my kids from the first marriage, they just left the house, right? So all of them have officially left. And now I have these 2 little ones that are still in elementary school. So I have a gap. I'm able to breathe for a little bit again. How should I prepare my children for high school? Because as a parent, I think things have changed to the extent where sometimes parents expect the teachers or school to just teach their kids and take care of them. And I don't know, how should I prepare my kids?
I always think that parents should stay involved with their child. Mm-hmm. And know where they are in terms of their developmental stage. Also talking with the school, how is my child performing in school? Staying in touch with the teachers, staying in touch with the administration, just building those relationships. So if I were talking to you from a principal's perspective, from a high school even, I would say stay connected. Don't wait just don't wait. Stay connected to them while they're in elementary. When they get into middle school, they're going to detach because they want to be with their friends. They're going to have peers. They're going to talk back to you. You got to stand your ground. Right. You got to make sure that they know that you are the boss, and keep those same rules and household rules as well. But at the same time, allow them to grow and not be enabled, but making sure that they're growing at the same time. And then especially in high school, staying connected with them, knowing who their friends are, who are their peers, making sure that they stay involved and connected with school in some way, because otherwise they hang out with peers that could be a bad influence. Getting them involved in hobbies, activities, extracurricular, things so that way they start to develop a social identity and build those positive relationships. So that's really important.
That's great advice. I agree. Getting involved and knowing who your kids' friends are. Because they
Yeah.
might tell you one thing, but if you actually, hey, let me meet their friends and have a good relationship, then I think it's a lot better.
Yeah.
So let's
Um,
talk about your leadership with that you created. I know in your book you talk about the fruit leadership chart. Can you
mhm.
expand on what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the one of my sections of my book, it's called Know Yourself.
Hmm.
So as a leader, what you need to know is, who you are as a leader. And
Hmm.
one of them is the fruit leadership chart. And I'll go ahead and do it with you if you don't mind. Yeah,
Sure.
okay,
Love that.
sure. So there's four different fruits. I'm going to tell you the four different fruits. I'll let you kind of think about how it resonates with you, and then I'll go into the definitions and what are the strengths and what do you need to develop, and then I'll go from there.
Okay.
So in terms of the four fruits, there's an apple, grape, pineapple, and orange. Which one resonates with you just by
Let's say apple.
apple? Okay, so apple, now I'm going to go through the definition or the description of each one, and then you can tell me if you still resonate or if there's more than one, that's fine too. An apple is, when you think of an apple, it's really easy to work with in terms of you just wash it and then you bite into it, chew
Mhm.
it, and you're done. They tend to be action oriented and
Mhm.
they tend to initiate, implement, and execute. Get
Mhm.
it done, get the job done, check, done, 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 done. That's the apple. Grapes, when you think of grapes, are all on this branch together. They're connected, so they're grouped together in bunches. So that leadership style is about the relationship,
Mhm.
building relationships, building harmonious relationships, group consensus, being sensitive to others' feelings before making decisions, and just make sure everybody's on board. So that's the grape. And then in terms of a pineapple, when you think of a pineapple, they have this big old crown on top of its head, I'll call it a head, and there's a bunch of eyes on the outside. So when you think of the characteristics or that style is lots of ideas, have lots of possibilities, visionary is their kind of strength. And then in terms of oranges, when you think of an orange, it's enclosed, and then you have to open it up, and then there's skin and pulp and all the little details. So it's very detailed oriented, or these people detailed oriented, very meticulous, like to analyze things, need all the data before moving forward. So now that you have these characteristics, what would you say you are? And again, you could be more than one.
No, I think I'm definitely an apple. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, that totally resonates with me. And I think the older you get and the more that you realize, I mean, it's important to bring people in and have them involved. I used to do that quite a bit where I'd want a lot of input from other people, but at the same time, it's hard to get things done. And if you don't go with their idea, then they get offended and they get a little upset. But it's good to have a team and it's good to network and it's good to be involved in things. And I think the pineapple, I think of it like an outgoing person almost too, is like they're the type that they walk into the room and they're the life of the party, the crown. That's
yeah,
kind of what I thought of
kind
it
of,
as.
yeah.
And then orange, the detail, devil's in the details, right? And so you have to make sure that you know what's going on, but you can always hire for that as well. So yeah, I definitely think I'm an apple.
Yeah, so that's good to know in terms of how you analyze yourself with that. And then the idea behind it is not to just say you're one of them, but
Right.
to develop all four areas.
Yeah.
And if one of them is like the one that you really need to develop, then focus in on that in terms of uh, the what you need, and then also communicating that. So if I say I'm a grape, then I'll say, Charisse, I'm a grape, and then being explicit, I'm a grape, and so I'm really sensitive. So if when you communicate with me, can you make sure that you check in with me with your how I'm feeling? And
Mhm.
then now knowing that you're an apple, then I can say, okay, Charisse is going to be getting down to business. So I need to make sure that I'm not always talking, but what's the next steps? What do I need to have and be prepared? Otherwise, we'll just get frustrated with trying to work together. Um, yeah.
I think, and you can actually tie that into any type of business, I think, the understanding your leadership style. I'm always about analogies and about like I'm a visual person. So the fact that I can visualize a grape, visualize a pineapple, visualize an orange. How did you come up with that idea?
Thanks for asking that. I was trying to think of, when I worked with my
Yeah.
teams and why do I get frustrated when I deal with these certain groups? And I
Uh-huh.
realized, okay, they happen to be pineapples, and they
Uh-huh.
would get things. They have all these ideas, and then I have to I have to, what is that? Micromanage, because they would have these ideas, and they wouldn't get things in place. And I would just say, but you came up with that idea. Where are the steps
Yeah.
to this? And then I would go, okay, I need to make sure that I do all these little baby steps to get you there because you have this idea, but make sure you take those notes.
Mm-hmm.
So to get back to your question about how did I come up with the idea, I just thought, oh, well, that happens to be
Mm-hmm.
what kind of fruit looks like that? A pineapple. And so I was thinking, okay, something that's detailed is an orange.
Uh-huh.
Um, Something that's really easy to eat could be a pear and apple because they're kind of the same.
Mm-hmm.
I just said an apple because everybody knows an
You're a
apple.
teacher too. Apples are
Yeah.
together.
And I had a hard time because at first I was thinking, I can use a pumpkin, but not
Uh-huh.
everybody knows a pumpkin or a pomegranate.
Mhm.
Pumpkin and pomegranate is kind of the detailed thing too, but not everybody knows how to open a pomegranate. So I
Mhm.
thought, I need something that everybody can do. And then at the same time, it turns into a fruit salad. So
Yeah.
all of those can be part of a fruit salad.
That's very true. Okay, so
Yeah.
the next one, because I love stuff like this, you talked about the multifaceted identity.
Mm.
So what is it and how can it be useful as a leader?
So what it is there's everybody has different parts of who they are,
Mhm.
whether it's their ethnicity, their race, their gender, their religion background, their political affiliation. So everything that makes up a person, education background, siblings, hobbies. So now it's this, okay, now being really intentional about what areas, so you can just have you in the center of this little diagram and then all the different options that you can talk about. And instead of saying, okay, write down everything about all those different sections, kind of like a clock, you can choose maybe 5 of those areas that you want to disclose. Because maybe I don't want to talk about family or I don't want to talk about my political affiliation, but I'm open to talking about my siblings and where I fall in that and my background. So then it becomes something that I can share with you. And then you get to know a little bit about me and my background. And then you would be able to share a little about who you are, and then that's that multifaceted identity. And then it can start off with even something simple like what kind of food do you like or what are your hobbies? So that way it's low stress kind of conversation. It's just kind of getting to know somebody. And that can be used in any relationship when building at a school or building other people have used it to build part of their team to kind of get like icebreakers.
Yeah.
And it has helped them.
So what advice would you give for, and I'm going to take it to a business part of it, to aspiring new leaders, whether they be school leaders, educators, business owners, what advice would you have for them?
In terms of,
Advice you have for somebody that's looking to become a leader in a leadership role, that
oh,
they
okay.
say that they've been teaching for several years, and I think I might have greater impact because that's what happened to me. I think I could have better impact if I became the dean. And then you become the dean, and you're like, I think I might have better impact if I become the president. And so when it comes to school situation or business, what advice would you give somebody?
I would definitely say find a mentor and also do some homework around it because people don't know what's out there
Right.
or exposed to those different kinds of careers and opportunities. And then they end up staying in their current position when they have all this other stuff that they could give. So definitely finding and networking. So whether it's networking and finding organizations to join or associations to be a part of, or affinity groups in terms of, let's say my background, I can talk about being Filipino, but then finding Filipino groups and then finding out what do they do. And then at the same time, if I'm in education, okay, maybe I don't know what the director of this person does. I don't know what the superintendent does. I don't know what this superintendent of the state does. So maybe reaching out to them, going on LinkedIn, networking, and just say, hey, can I set up a time? Maybe you can tell me a little bit, oh, I'm thinking about going in that profession. So again, being really intentional about finding mentors and even just asking if they could be your mentor. I wish I did that earlier in life, but now I'm being a little bit more assertive about that and just asking, will you be my mentor? Can you help me mentor? Can you give me some tips on how to do that? You're in a career that I aspire to do afterwards or transition to. And what advice could you give me as I start thinking about that? So I think that's probably the main or 2 main points is finding a mentor or a coach,
Mhm.
2 different roles. You can have more than one, of course, and then also joining networking organizations.
Yeah. And I love that you talk about that you are open and willing and give the advice to ask for help, because there's a lot of people that be more than willing to. Now, I think that you have to be careful, because I had somebody call me once. They're like, okay, Charisse, I want to take you out to dinner and you need to tell me everything you've learned in an hour. Well, why would I do that? I've just spent $250,000 on all my different education and coaching, and why would I go for free? Like, some people, they're willing to give, but what can you do for them? And I heard a talk by a lady once, I cannot remember her name all of a sudden, but she was willing for like a year. She just helped somebody and she learned from them because of that. And so I think that when we ask people for advice or we ask people for mentorship, it's what can I do in return to help? Not that it's expected, but you know what? I'd sure love some help a couple hours a week, and I'd be more than happy to teach you what I know type thing as well. So I think that that's in any industry that we do. I think that's great advice that you give. So thank you for that.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. And I think that's really important what you just said too, in terms of, our time is just as valuable. Yes, we want to give, but what can I, and I'll show you what I know,
Right.
but I can't do this as a long-term kind of thing. We can check in like once a month, maybe do like over coffee. But even that is taking up my time, and it could turn into a business. That part of it is, okay, well, maybe, people are asking me to do these things, maybe turn it into a business. I can offer classes, I can teach. I'm starting to think about what does that look like in terms of facilitating different groups, and getting paid for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hence the coaching part that you're getting into with your book, right? So you go and you're now coaching other leaders, school leaders and teachers.
Yeah.
What made you decide to get into that?
And into the coaching part?
Yeah.
I was doing the coaching before, and then in 2019, 2020, I started doing the coaching, and I thought, well, I'm doing this one-on-one, and the information is almost the same, that I'm talking to this person or that person. Know yourself, know yourself, know yourself. Come up with a vision and plan, vision, mission, and start aligning it. So those were the same conversations I was having. And I thought, okay, write my book on this, because that's what people need if they're going to go into leadership role. They should know these things, and then they hit the ground running with that information. And then now with the book, now I'm actually handing it out to those people and just saying, here, and you can share it with other people as well.
Well, Cynthia, I think it's fantastic, first of all, that you have 35 years of your life to teaching, and then vice principal and principal. I mean, it's such an accomplishment that you had your hands on so many different students and the lives that you've touched and the people that you've helped. And then to take that now to the leaders who are, again, with students, you've impacted tens of thousands of people, I'm sure, 100,000 probably.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
So if our listeners wanted to find you thinking, you know what, as a teacher, I want to learn more from what you have or what you have to offer, how would they find you?
They could find me on LinkedIn and find me under Cynthia Rapaido. And that's probably the best way, fastest way. Or they can email me at cynthiarapaido@gmail. And that's fine too. But probably the LinkedIn is the fastest way to find me.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much too, Charisse. It's so nice to meet you.
And Unbreakable Moms, if you are wondering how to, like, what should I do to become a leader? Although she focuses on the school and teachers, a lot of what she has, I can resonate in my own business. So reach out, get her book, and I hope you go out and have a fantastic day. Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Charisse Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Charisse Walker.